Imagine being handed an impossible test, right? Like a test by your own father, where no matter how perfectly you play the game, thousands of innocent people die.
Oh, that sounds incredibly stressful.
It really is, and you're just forced to sit there and watch the clock tick down to your own inevitable failure. Welcome to a brand new deep dive, where today we are looking at a stack of personal logs from two officers aboard the USS Arawyn.
Right, we have logs from Tactical Officer Grayson McKinney and Medical Officer Claire Dunross.
Exactly. And the mission for this deep dive is to explore how a standard, completely innocent-looking delivery from a parent actually contained a puzzle designed to unravel this hidden, devastating history.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because, well, in a world of infinite data and perfectly calculated probabilities, the most profound stories are often hidden in the anomalies.
The places where things just don't add up.
Right, we're diving into those spaces where the math absolutely refuses to act like math. It shows how we process unimaginable trauma through, these very sterile systems we build.
Absolutely. So, to set the scene for you, we have this incredibly relatable, grounded moment. It starts with Grayson returning to his quarters after a grueling 14-hour shift.
Ouch. Yeah, 14 hours is a long time to be on duty.
I mean, his shoulder is aching. The guy just wants to sleep. He walks into his room, and there's Claire sitting on the sofa with her cat, Brasa.
Yes, Brasa. The logs paint quite a picture of this cat.
Oh my gosh, yes. Brasa is one of those wildly entitled pets who apparently demands tribute just to exist in the same room as you.
We all know a cat like that.
Right, and sitting right there on the table is a mysterious package wrapped in plain brown paper and string. It was sent by Grayson's father, Captain Edson McKinney.
And the contents of that physical package are really where this whole puzzle begins.
Yeah.
It's honestly a masterclass in contrasting elements.
It really is, because inside you have 18 cocoa-dusted truffles.
Yeah, and they aren't those perfectly symmetrical, replicated spheres you'd usually see.
No, they're made using Grayson's mother's actual recipe. They
Right.
have all these handcrafted imperfections in the chocolate, so it's this undeniable, time-consuming gesture of, profound care from a parent.
But then, sitting underneath those beautiful truffles is a standard issue, dull gray data rod. And the file on it is simply named Tactical Problem 411.
Which is so ominous, and the metadata on this file is the immediate red flag here. The logs show this file was built a very long time ago in a legacy format.
Right, a really old file.
Yeah, but the revision history shows it was updated just days before it was sent to Grayson, and Captain McKinney is described in the sources as a man who treats a first draft like a moral position.
I love that description. A moral position.
Right. He doesn't just tweak things casually. So a sudden recent revision to an incredibly old file that completely changes the context of the gift.
It definitely ceases to be a simple care package at that point. It becomes, well, a message he couldn't deliver out loud, just wrapped in the guise of a tactical exercise.
And Grayson clearly feels that weight because he can't just leave it alone. After his next shift, he and Claire share a dinner of traditional Brazilian pão de queijo.
Which is delicious, by the way.
So good. And the logs give us this beautiful little detail about Grayson's Scottish grandmother, Ilsa. She actually took the time to learn complex Brazilian cooking so she could share that heritage.
Blending their two cultures together out of love for her daughter-in-law.
Yeah, it's just a quiet moment about the legacy of family, which is honestly the perfect emotional setup before Grayson walks into a holodeck simulation designed by his own father.
And that simulation is an absolute nightmare.
Oh, totally.
When Grayson boots up Tactical Problem 411, the parameters are instantly terrifying.
Yeah.
You are commanding a Norway-class cruiser.
Which, for those who don't know, a Norway-class is a mid-sized vessel, right?
Exactly. It's heavily utilized for diplomatic transport, rapid response, maybe some science missions. It is absolutely not designed to hold the line in heavy combat.
Right. It's not a battleship.
No, not at all. Yet, the scenario asks Grayson to defend a convoy of 4,120 colonists for 71 minutes against an overwhelming combined force of heavy enemy cruisers and escorts.
The numbers alone are staggering. I mean, over 4,000 civilians in these slow-moving transports. And the best recorded time for survival in this scenario's history is 34 minutes.
Not 71 minutes.
No, 34. less than half the time he needs.
That detail alone tells anyone with tactical training that this is not a test of victory. It is a test of endurance. The system is fundamentally designed to break you.
And Grayson is a brilliant tactical officer, right? So he throws everything he has at this wall. On his first run, he uses a nearby asteroid belt to mask his ship's position.
A very smart move.
Yeah, he's intentionally trading his own shields for the safety of the civilian convoy. But he only lasts 22 minutes, so his second run, he gets even more creative.
He draws the enemy fleet toward a gas giant, right?
Exactly. He uses the planet's massive radiation field to scatter their sensors and hide his ship, and that pushes his survival time to 31 minutes.
Which is a textbook execution of asymmetrical defense. I mean, he is using environmental hazards to compensate for the fact that his ship is severely outgunned.
Squeezing every possible second out of a dying vessel.
Exactly.
But wait, I have to say, I don't buy that the system is functioning fairly here. I really don't.
What do you mean?
Well, if he's making all these textbook chess moves, trading shields for position, using radiation fields to blind enemy sensors, managing his power reserves perfectly, why is the simulation still overriding his strategy?
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like, it sounds like bad game design, not a real tactical test. It feels like the simulation is actively punishing his good decisions.
Well, it feels like punishment because every brilliant tactical move Grayson makes creates a secondary cascading failure that he simply cannot control.
So the environment itself fights back.
Right. That is the actual physics of space combat. The radiation field that successfully hides his ship from enemy sensors. It also violently degrades his own shield emitters.
Oh, wow.
And the asteroid belt that blocks incoming torpedo fire. That severely limits his own firing arcs, effectively trapping him in a corridor.
Ah, okay, so he's trapped either way.
Yeah. The simulation isn't ignoring his choices. It is meticulously demonstrating that no amount of tactical genius can overcome a fundamental mathematical deficit.
So doing the right thing still kills you, just, slightly slower.
Precisely. And that realization, the fact that he cannot win, is exactly what his father wanted him to experience.
It forces him to look past the battle itself.
Yes. The scenario forces Grayson to look past the thrill of the combat, straight into the grim aftermath of his decisions.
Which brings us to the middle of the night. It's 0300 hours. Surviving 31 minutes in a scenario where the all-time record is 34 minutes should feel like a massive victory. Yeah.
He should be asleep, proud of his score.
Right, but instead he is wide awake, just obsessing over the post-simulation casualty screen. He finally calls Claire over to look at it with him. So what is the math telling him that the simulation itself isn't?
Well, this is where Claire's medical expertise completely shifts the paradigm of their investigation. She looks at the screen Grayson is agonizing over.
And what does she see?
It is divided into these very sterile columns. You have injury, compartment, intervention, survival interval. It lists the fates of anonymous crew members, designated simply as crewman A through I.
Tracking them down to the exact minute they died.
Exactly. And Claire has this massive realization because she understands how tactical algorithms are normally built. A standard training model generates clean, predictable mathematical projections.
Right, like if a virtual plasma conduit explodes on the bridge, the virtual officer standing next to it takes a calculated amount of damage.
And expires in a set number of minutes. In a program, a virtual crewman who suffers, say, 80% plasma burns, dies at exactly T+4 minutes.
Because the algorithm dictates that biological failure is inevitable.
Right. It is neat and it is predictable. But Claire notices that this specific data in Grayson's simulation is incredibly messy.
She sees a patient with horrific, catastrophic burns somehow surviving much longer than any standard algorithm would ever predict, while someone else with seemingly lesser injuries dies much faster.
Because human bodies and human willpower do not care about elegant mathematics. In reality, a ship's medic might manually pump a dying crewman full of synthetic plasma.
Or use a field stabilizer to artificially keep their heart beating for an extra hour against all medical odds, right?
Exactly. Claire is seeing the messiness of real human endurance reflected in the data.
But wait, what is the pedagogical value in that? I mean, why would any tactical instructor deliberately program a training scenario to force a young officer to watch virtual people die in real time with granular medical accuracy?
It seems cruel, doesn't it?
It seems completely sadistic.
It does, which is why Claire's answer to that exact question is so chilling. A tactical instructor wouldn't build this. Claire realizes this isn't a simulation at all.
It's a mortality review.
Yes. Someone took a real historical event, a real battle with real casualties, and retrofitted the data into a tactical training program.
Oh, man.
She points out that the formal medical triage, ends at a specific point in the timeline, likely when the medical bay was destroyed or evacuated.
But the survival tracking just keeps going.
Yes, line by line, minute by minute, recorded by the ship's internal sensors. Those numbers aren't algorithms. They are real people who slowly died in a sealed compartment.
Wow. And knowing this, our whole narrative just completely shifts gears. We are no longer trying to solve a tactical puzzle to beat a high score.
No, we're on a historical investigation now.
Yeah, Grayson and Claire are hunting down a ghost ship, and the methodology they have to use to find this specific ship is fascinating because they are severely restricted by the system.
The original tactical engagement was clearly sealed by Starfleet Command. They cannot just go into the database and search for Norway-class attacked by heavy cruisers.
That would be too easy.
Right. They have to use two entirely different unclassified datasets to reconstruct a classified event.
Let's paint the picture of the scene for a second, because I love the visual. They are back in Grayson's quarters. The environmental controls are set to absolutely sweltering because Grayson likes the heat.
And Claire is sitting there barefoot, complaining that the room is the temperature of Mars.
Yes, surrounded by Grayson's collection of antique, deadly weaponry hanging on the walls. It's such a vivid contrast, and they are just racing through the Starfleet archives.
It's like they're trying to identify an invisible object by looking solely at the shadows it casts on the wall.
Like digging a tunnel from opposite sides of a mountain, hoping to meet in the middle. Grayson is looking at the shadow of the mechanical damage.
He is digging through quartermaster logs and shipyard requisitions.
Right. He is looking for a Norway-class ship that requisitioned massive aft bulkhead repairs, replacement shield assemblies, and entirely new escape pods.
Because the aft compartment takes the brunt of the damage when a lightly armored ship is desperately retreating from a superior force.
Meanwhile, Claire is looking at the biological shadow. She is deep in credentialing records and supply chain logistics, hunting for a ship that had a sudden, massive spike in medical requisitions.
She's tracking burn dressings, synthetic plasma, and field stabilizers.
But neither the mechanical shadow nor the biological shadow gives them the ship's name on its own.
No, but when you overlap those two shadows, only one specific ship fits the exact silhouette. They hit the identical vessel from two different archives.
The USS Arawyn.
A Norway-class vessel.
And it suffered 58 casualties out of a crew of 190.
And when Grayson pulls up the casualty distribution for the Arawyn, the math finally aligns with the nightmare he just played through. Exactly 9 casualties occurred in the aft compartment.
Crewman A through I.
It is a perfect match. But identifying the ship is only the first step. The true revelation is buried in the personnel files.
Yeah, this part gave me chills. Grayson opens the file for the Arawyn's command staff during the engagement, and he finds a single line that just drops the floor out from under this entire deep dive.
It really changes everything.
The file reads, Anthigone, Lieutenant Commander, Second Officer, Acting Commanding Officer from T+19.
T+19. 19 minutes into the engagement, the captain and first officer were either killed or incapacitated.
So the problem his father sent him wasn't just a random tragedy plucked from the archives to teach him humility.
Not at all.
It was the exact moment his own father took command of a dying ship.
It completely recontextualizes the data rod. Grayson's father wasn't asking, can you beat this simulation? He was saying, this is what happened to me when I was in your chair.
The math was impossible. People died. What would you have done?
Exactly. And Grayson's reaction to this discovery is one of the most profoundly moving details in the logs.
He doesn't give a grand speech, right? He doesn't say a word. He just gets up, walks over to the replicator, and orders actual physical paper.
Yeah.
He sits back down next to Claire, takes out a pen, and he handwrites the names of those 9 dead crewmen in his own personal shorthand.
We live in a digital age, and certainly in their era, screens can be dismissed with a swipe. Holograms vanish when the power turns off. Data is inherently ephemeral.
Right. You might be wondering, in a world of instantaneous data, why bother finding a physical pen and paper? But think about your own life. When something truly matters, don't you want a physical artifact to prove it happened?
Like a printed photo or a handwritten letter.
Exactly. Grayson is anchoring those 9 lost lives into reality. By writing their names, he is taking them out of the abstract simulation and returning their humanity to them.
He is bearing witness. It is a vital psychological step in processing the trauma of his father's legacy. But Grayson isn't the only one who finds a dark mirror in the Arawyn's tragedy.
No, because while Grayson is handwriting those names, Claire is still deep in the medical archives. and the gravity of this discovery pulls her in just as deeply.
She pulls up the file for the Arsenault ship's surgeon, Commander Amaro Reyes Sarkady.
And the file lists the surgeon as killed in action.
The cause of death is tragic, but it's the procedural attachment in her file that brings the whole story crashing down on Claire's shoulders.
Yeah, Claire finds this old mass casualty order attached to the surgeon's file. To give you some historical context, Starfleet mass casualty protocols deal with the brutal logistics of abandoning a ship.
It's a terrible situation to even plan for.
Right. This specific order states that if a ship is evacuating and there are patients in the medical bay who are too critically injured to survive the physical trauma of transport to an escape pod,
Senior medical personnel must remain in place with those patients.
they cannot be subjected to the lethal stress of evacuation, but ethically and morally, they cannot be abandoned to die alone in the dark.
So a doctor must stay.
And the horrifying symmetry here, the realization that makes Claire just freeze in that sweltering room, is that she wrote the exact same standing order for their current ship, the Arawyn.
Wow.
But Claire's version went even further. She didn't just say senior medical personnel. She specifically named herself as the one who stays behind.
Grayson's father didn't send that data rod just to teach his son how to fight a heavy cruiser. A standard tactical database could do that.
Right.
He sent it to show him the true, agonizing cost of command. He wanted to show Grayson the invisible weights that officers have to carry every single day.
Because when Grayson eventually takes the center seat, he has to know that the decisions he makes aren't just moving virtual pieces on a board.
Exactly. If he makes a tactical choice that results in catastrophic damage, he is forcing officers like Commander Reyes Sarkady or officers like Claire sitting right next to him on the sofa to stay behind in a burning compartment and honor a standing order with their own lives.
That is the quiet, immense burden of leadership. The math of command is always balanced in human lives.
And Captain McKinney knew that his son needed to deeply understand that burden before he ever had to bear it for real. You cannot learn that from a textbook.
You have to feel the weight of the ghost.
You really do.
It is truly incredible how this narrative moved from a box of innocent homemade chocolate truffles wrapped in brown paper and string to this profound exploration of grief, duty, and the agonizing human realities that hide behind sterile data points.
It serves as a powerful reminder for anyone listening. Data is never just data.
No, never.
Whether you are looking at a tactical simulation, a quarterly financial report, or a medical chart, it is always a footprint left behind by a real human experience.
That feeling of opening a package, expecting comfort, and finding a profound challenge instead is something that really stays with you.
It certainly does.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over long after you finish listening. Think about the standard operating procedures, the rules or the policies you follow at your own job every day, you know?
The things you accept is just the way it's done.
Exactly. What hidden histories or ghosts of past mistakes are baked into the rules you follow without questioning?
An unsettling but definitely necessary question to ask yourself.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep diving deep.